Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. I'm so excited for the upcoming game between Paris Saint-Germain versus Bayern Munchen. As you can see, we have the Champions League table right here in front of us. First place versus second place. I mean, these are the games. And this is why I love this new Champions League format, because this game would have never happened before and we wouldn't have had this league table and all this excitement. Paris Saint-Germain would not have been able to face Bayern Munchen, as both teams are from Part 1. But we're going to see this game. Perfect time as well. You know, both teams have had a couple of games. We still have, I think, 3 games each to play ahead of that game versus each other in the Champions League. Maybe 4 games actually. Shout out to UEFA. Paris Saint-Germain versus Bayern. Both have played 3 games, 3 victories, 12 plus goal difference for both teams, 9 points for both teams. The only thing that separates us why Paris Saint-Germain are first is because we've scored 1 more goal. But obviously Paris Saint-Germain have had tougher opposition. We beat Atalanta 4-1, beat Barcelona 2-1 obviously, and beat Leverkusen 7-2. Whilst Bayern had a toughish game versus Chelsea, but then 2 easy ones versus Pafos and Club Brugge. Really looking forward for this game. The best versus the best. And we have some quick stats to take a look at. So, I made a similar one for the El Clasico game, and here I've made one for Paris Saint-Germain. Goals scored in all competitions so far this season: 44 for Bayern, 31 goals for Paris Saint-Germain, 21.4 XG for Paris Saint-Germain, whilst 29.6 for Bayern Munchen. Goals conceded: 13 for PSG. I think it's 9 for Bayern Munchen. I accidentally put 35. And then XG against: 12.8, 6.2 for Bayern Munchen. Goal difference: 18. Okay, you see, that's their defensive number. It's 35. Bayern Munchen have a goal difference of 35 compared to Paris Saint-Germain, who have a goal difference of 18. Absolutely huge difference. And then this top 3 one as well. Paris Saint-Germain's top 3 GA so far this season is Vitinha, Bradley Barcola, Nuno Mendes with 7, 6, 6 accumulated to 19. Whilst Bayern Munchen 23, 11, 10, 44 for Harry Kane, Luis Diaz, and Michael Olise. When it comes to the attacking force, Bayern Munchen look way stronger, but obviously the main excuse for Paris Saint-Germain is Desiree Doué has been out, Khvicha Kvaratskhelia has been out, and Ousmane Dembélé mainly has been out, and that's the reason players like Vitinha, Barcola, and Nuno Mendes have been stepping up in their absence. But it just showcases, you know, how great Bayern Munchen have been so far this season in all competitions. Because when you look at Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern in the UEFA Champions League, I think Paris Saint-Germain have been better, especially when you take a look at the oppositions they've faced. But in all competitions, we gotta be fair, Bayern Munchen have been the best team so far this season, if you look at the results, the performances, and everything. But Paris Saint-Germain are obviously carrying on from winning the UEFA Champions League, from reaching the Club World Cup final, including beating Bayern Munchen in that Club World Cup quarterfinal. Then I want to take a look at some tweets I made going into this game. This tweet was posted by me on the 18th of September, long way ago, saying that, is it only me who is more excited for the Bayern game than the Barca game? And the best explanation for this opinion in this tweet by me is that the Barca Paris Saint-Germain game, this one right here, was supposed to be played last season. That's when Paris Saint-Germain were the best and Barca was the second best. This game was supposed to be played last season. And this game is supposed to be played this season. Paris Saint-Germain versus Bayern, the best versus the best. This game was supposed to be played last season. But Barca obviously battled there versus Inter Milan in the Champions League semi-final. And then they kept talking the entire summer, and we faced off with a depleted squad, and we beat them at their own stadium. So it wasn't that tough. But this game, though, will be very tough. But obviously, Paris Saint-Germain are not going to be starting off an attack with Bradley Barcola, Ibrahima Mbaye, and Gonçalo Ramos. No, it will be Ousmane Dembélé instead. And this is the best versus the best, because I don't think Barca have been maybe even top 3, top 4 so far this season. Whilst it's clear, Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern have been top 2. Even though Paris Saint-Germain have struggled a little bit in the league, what we've done in the Champions League has been absolutely exceptional. And that's why all the Bayern fans are also extremely hyped up for this game versus Paris Saint-Germain, and maybe a little bit frightened. I also posted this, PSG versus Bayern being like, finally a worthy opponent, our battle will be legendary. And this picture right here goes for both teams. Bayern Munchen have been cruising through everyone in Europe so far with ease, with a lot of ease actually. And Paris Saint-Germain, I mean, have been dominating Europe for 2025, which has been steamrolling through everyone Everyone. You name it. Go to the Premier League. We beat Liverpool. We beat Arsenal. We beat City. We beat Spurs. We beat Villa. Go to the Bundesliga. We beat Bayern, Stuttgart, recently by Leverkusen. Go to La Liga. We beat Madrid. We beat Barca. We beat Atletico. Go to Serie A. We beat Inter. Go to Liga and we beat every single team. So one team has been steamrolling through 2025. One team has been steamrolling through 2025-2026 season. Obviously, Paris Saint-Germain is greater in terms of the teams that have faced and so on. Bayern Munchen have only faced. They've faced Stuttgart in the Super Cup, the Bundesliga, I call it. the German Super Cup. Chelsea, obviously, in the Champions League. They faced Dortmund as well. And Dortmund, they're not an easy team this season. They've been unbeaten so far this season, apart from that defeat to Bayern Munchen. So Bayern have also had some impressive victories so far this season. But it's definitely a worthy opponent for both teams. Paris Saint-Germain are finally facing a worthy opponent, and Bayern Munchen are finally facing a worthy opponent. It's great to see. And this is the most recent tweet I had. This should be the best game of 2025, overtaking Barca versus Inter. Please, no injuries for both teams. I want to see the best versus the best. And obviously, there was some Bayern fans crying in the comments saying stuff like Davies and Musiala are injured. Yes, I think everybody knows, especially Musiala as a Paris Saint-Germain fan. We know that they are injured. But you have to understand, you guys have been calling yourself the best team in the world so far this season. And that's despite Musiala and Davies being injured. Well, now you're going to see if you are the best team in the world. If you beat Paris Saint-Germain this season, you have been the best team in the world. Quite clearly, if you beat Paris Saint-Germain, who's been the best team ever since 2025 started. So don't play that gimmick, because I didn't play that gimmick versus Barca. I went in full confident in that game, despite us having injuries. And you should do the same. If you feel you're the best, 2 players missing from a lot of other great players should not be the biggest thing. But obviously, if Davies and Musiala are there, it's their actual best team. And it's quite impressive how great Bayern have been despite them missing. Obviously, Musiala is basically Kane. Kane is playing like Kane and Musiala at the same time, dropping deep but still scoring in nearly every single game. Alphonso Davies, it's really impressive they've been without him. He's basically their only outlet, even though they got Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz was such an important signing for Bayern because they needed another outlet, and that's Luis Diaz. Just imagine when Davies and Diaz on the same side. Whew. But yeah, very big game coming up here between the two clubs. I also want to take a look at the stats between the clubs in the Champions League. So we can see FotMob rating. Wow, PSG not top 3. PSG in 4th place. I mean, barely a couple of points behind Bayern Munchen right here. Goals per match, 4.3 for Paris Saint-Germain, 4 for Bayern Munchen. Goal conceded per match. Let's see, defensively, Bayern and PSG very close to each other, but taking hand, Paris Saint-Germain have faced tougher opposition. Average possession, Paris Saint-Germain in 2nd place. This is surprising, especially with the teams that we have faced, that we even have more average possession than Bayern. City 1st with 70%. Total distance per match, Bayern run a lot, 121 kilometers. Paris Saint-Germain, 110. So we've not been running as much as Bayern Munchen so far this season. Clean sheets, Arsenal have 3, Inter have 3. Defensive monsters. Bayern have 1. Paris Saint-Germain has 1 clean sheet so far this season in the UEFA Champions League. Expected goals. Interesting. Bayern 10.8. Paris Saint-Germain only 8. Shots on target per match. Bayern 11. Paris Saint-Germain 9.3. Big chances. I think Paris Saint-Germain are 4th with 19. Bayern Munchen 2nd with 22. Big chances missed. Bayern dominate that with 15 to Paris Saint-Germain's 12. Accurate passes per match. Accurate long balls. Penalties awarded. Madrid. Accurate crosses per match. Touches in opposition box 140. 128. What we can see by all of these stats is that, wow, possession won in the final third per match. Paris Saint-Germain first, 7.7. Great press from PSG, Bayern only 5.7. What we can see from all of these stats is that Bayern Munchen and Paris Saint-Germain are deserved teams to be 1st and 2nd place in the UEFA Champions League. They're dominating the majority of the most important stats in the competition. And yeah, this is the best versus the best. They're basically both sitting on the first spot, with both having the same goal difference as well. And You know, one thing we talked about when it came to the Paris Saint-Germain Barca game last season was the matchups. You know, you had some similarities. You had like a Vitinha Pedri one. You had like a Dembele duo versus Rafinha Yamal. You had the Hakimi Kunde. You had the Nuno Balde. Majority of those debates have been settled. And now we're going into this game where we'll see some other debates as well. I mean, not the same really. But I mean, you got an old Neuer who's going towards the end of his career versus a young Chevalier coming up. And Chevalier hasn't been a little bit questionable this season so far. Right back, Leimer has been performing very consistently and plays a bit similar with him inverting into midfield, similarly to Achraf Hakimi. At the back, you've got two monsters, Mpacho and Upamecano versus each other. At the left back position, it's unfortunate Davies will not be there. Probably maybe Guerrero starts the game or someone else versus Nuno, not really a debate. You got Kimmich versus Vitinha in the deep playing position. Depends on who plays in double pivot. If it's Pavlovic, you got Pavlovic and Neves, two of the best young midfielders in Europe. At offensive 8 spot. Still don't know how Gnabry will probably play. Gnabry, Fabian, I don't know. Similar age, trying to resurgence back into their career. Olise, Desiree Due, as you can see by this picture on that right side. That would be a great debate going into the game. Luis Diaz versus Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, another great debate. And Ousmane Dembele and Harry Kane, the previous Ballon d'Or winner, the most recent one, versus the leader of the Ballon d'Or. I would definitely say Harry Kane is my number one candidate if we had to give out the Ballon d'Or so far for this season strictly. So we have that. And then you got the managers as well. Vincent Kompany, Luis Enrique. We've already faced each other before. Paris Saint-Germain obviously beating Bayern Munchen in the Club World Cup. And right here we have all of our lost games. Paris Saint-Germain obviously beating Bayern Munchen 2-0 in the Club World Cup quarterfinal in the summer. Bayern beating us 1-0 in the Champions League group stage last season. Kim Min-jae with the header. Ousmane Dembele with the red card. Bayern beating us here in 2023, knocking us out. And it was embarrassing because Paris Saint-Germain didn't score a single goal across both legs. And we all remember that Vitinha miss. And then, unfortunately, this tie, obviously Paris Saint-Germain did go through straight after losing to Bayern Munchen in our first Champions League final ever. So definitely some recent history. I mean, we did face off each other 17-18, first season for Neymar and Mbappe and so on, and then here in some friendly tournament. But basically, since 2020, we have been facing a lot. Faced in the Champions League final, quarterfinal, round of 16, Club World Cup. No. Group stage, Club World Cup, and now group stage again. So definitely a bit similar once again to the Paris Saint-Germain Barcelona stuff. We have some head-to-head rivalry between the two clubs. And right here is the head-to-head between Paris Saint-Germain and FC Bayern Munchen in the Champions League history. So going way long back right here. Bayern Munchen, 8 victories, Paris Saint-Germain 6. Goals scored 19 for Bayern, 15 for Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, here they showed the results. So let's take a look at what we've missed. We've gone through this, gone through that, 17, 18. Let's see what was previously there. So we faced in 2000, 2001 in the group, Bayern München beating us 2-0. And we beat them 1-0 at the Parc des Princes. Match week 4 in 97-98. Paris Saint-Germain beat Bayern 3-1 in the group stage. And Bayern beat us 5-1. 94-95, again in the group stage, Paris Saint-Germain win 1-0 away and beat Bayern 2-0 at the Parc des Princes. So even before, that's such a funny thing when I go into these Champions League head-to-heads and so on. You know, everyone's like, oh, PSG, this and that, no history and all of that. But when you look at this, I mean, we were beating them in 1994, 1995, both games. Very interesting. Let me take a look at the lineups that were here. Comboire, match info. Well, yeah. Very interesting actually taking a look at this. And yeah, hopefully we get the 7th victory versus Bayern München. And just to finish it off more with my own opinions going into this game, I'm very confident. I've been extremely confident in this team ever since obviously we started rolling well enough basically at the start of 2025. But I think that Liverpool performance in the first leg, despite us losing 1-0, is where the immense confidence from the entire Paris Saint-Germain fan base came to this club, and also a lot of non-PSG fans as well. And ever since then, I've been extremely confident in this team. And it was proven, winning the Champions League, in the first in our history, smacking Inter 5-0 in the final, going all the way to the Club World Cup final, unfortunately losing by a huge margin as well. But what makes it a little bit easier to forget is how we've started off this season and the goal for this season. Another treble, Coupe de France, Trophée du Champion, Liga and McDonald's, and obviously the UEFA Champions League. That is our aim, to go back to back. And to go to back, you got to prove yourself against the best, and you got to beat the best in the competition. And FC Bayern Munchen have been the best team so far this season. So there's no better compliment for PSG than beating Bayern Munchen and looking at everyone and be like, you sent him, you sent all of these teams, and we just pushed them away. That's hopefully how we can be talking after this game. But it's going to be a great game. This is not an easy game to predict. This is not an easy game to play for both teams. I don't think, if Bayern could choose a team in the final in terms of having an easy way or something, they wouldn't want to face PSG. But the same thing goes for PSG at the moment. Bayern is a really tough team. But that's what I love about a game like this. It's going to determine how great Bayern is and how great PSG is. For Bayern fans, there's no better test in world football in 2025 than facing off versus Paris Saint-Germain. I mean, look at Chelsea fans. The game was played in July, and they are always talking about that victory. Not the tournament, not the trophy that they won, but their victory over Paris Saint-Germain, because, we've beaten everyone. So beating Paris Saint-Germain is the biggest compliment in football. And I've seen a lot of people saying that Bayern have an edge, Bayern could win. So I hope the narrative stays the same, because I remember the narrative before the Champions League final versus Inter. Oh, it's a tight final, all of that. We slapped them, and then it's like Inter as, oh, it wasn't that impressive, and so on. If we beat Bayern, it would be extremely impressive. The game obviously set to be played at the Parc des Princes, and I can't wait. That's been it from my boy PSG. Let me know in the comments down below your excitement for the upcoming game between Paris Saint-Germain and FC Barcelona, FC Bayern München, FCB in the UEFA Champions League. That's been it from my boy PSG, and hopefully guys have enjoyed this video. And as usual, allez Paris.